Hi everyone, welcome back. This week in Level E, we're going to be working on lessons 85 through 88. You will need worksheets 58 through 61, A or B, warm-up practice sheets 6 and 7. 6 was already used, half of it was used last week. The 4-in-1 ruler, the meter stick, the Casio calculator, your math card games book, the basic number card stack, and the fraction cards. In lesson 85, we will be measuring and adding with tenths of an inch. The warm-up is the second multivide on practice sheet 6. The first activity in this lesson is to find measurements on the tenths of an inch scale on your 4-in-1 ruler and to see how an inch is abbreviated. After your child has found a few different measurements, go ahead and turn to the worksheet and have him or her complete the first problem by measuring the 3 figures and finding their perimeters. Next, I would put the worksheet aside for just a bit and discuss feet and miles. Most of the questions are self-explanatory, but I would like you to focus on the last one for just a second. It says, some people try to walk 10,000 steps a day. About how many miles is this? I would refer back to the paragraph under a mile, the heading that says a mile, and reread it aloud. Give your child time to think. If your child is still not sure what to do, you can lead him or her to discovery by asking a few questions. And this is how I would proceed with those questions. If we have 1,000 strides, how many miles do we have? So 1,000 strides equals 1 mile. I would have your child write that down on the whiteboard or a piece of paper. It doesn't matter, maybe the back of the worksheet. So 1,000 strides equals 1 mile. How many steps are in a stride? There's 2 steps in 1 stride. So I'd write that down. 2 steps equals 1 stride. How many steps are in a mile? There's 2,000 steps in 1 mile. So now I would return to the problem. It says that people try to walk 10,000 steps per day. So how can we figure out how many miles that is? So with all that information that we just wrote down, your student should be able to see that the 10,000 steps divided by 2,000 steps, and that would equal 5 miles. Okay, so I hope that helped. Your child will then do the next problem in the lesson book and then complete the worksheet. Ask the in conclusion questions and play hardest fraction war, which is F23 in the math card games book. It's also the one that I demonstrated last week for you in the video. In lesson 86, we're going to be measuring in tenths of a centimeter. So the last lesson was tenths of an inch, now it's tenths of a centimeter, and add meters, decimeters, centimeters, and millimeters. After the multivide warm-up, your child will use the 4-in-1 ruler and the meter stick to find tenths of a centimeter and a meter. You will also look at a millimeter, which is 1,000th of a meter, in relationship to a centimeter and a meter. Some children may associate milli with million, but in the rest of the world, milli means thousand. The Italian word milione means great thousand, which that gives us our English word million. In order to complete the worksheet, your child needs to understand that a decimeter is 1/10 of a meter, a centimeter is 100th of a meter, and that a millimeter is 1,000th of a meter. They also need to understand that there are 10 millimeters in a centimeter, 100 millimeters in a decimeter, and 1,000 millimeters in a meter. Once they understand that, the worksheet will be fairly easy. After the in conclusion questions, you can play concentrating on tenths, which is F21 in the math card games book. For lesson 87, we will learn to read gasoline prices and work with a fraction of a cent. The warm-up is on worksheet 60. If your child needs to review rounding, that was covered in lesson 16, so you may need to go back and just warm up a little bit. You may want to do the first row together of the questions. Remember that if the cents are less than 50 cents, you're going to round down. If they're more, you're going to round up. The next section looks at the unique way that gas stations list their prices. There are 5 discussion points to cover and a few oral questions. Next, your child will complete the worksheet. Notice the subtle difference between questions 5 and 6. For question 5, your child could pick either station because they're both charging the same. For question 6, neither station is charging $4 for premium. But there is a penny's difference between questions 5 and 6. Go ahead and ask the in conclusion questions and play concentrating on tenths, which is F21 in the math card games book. Lesson 88 is a review and game day. Go ahead and ask the oral questions and then let your child finish the review sheet. After going over the answers and having your child correct any mistakes, you can play hardest fraction war again. Here's a list of lessons to review if your child needs it. If your child missed oral question 1, review lesson 33. Oral question 2, review lessons 4 and 19. And oral question 3, review lesson 33. For the write the answers section, review lesson 78 for question 1. For question 2, review lesson 77. And for question 3, review lesson 73. For the do the calculations section, the subtraction problem, you can review lessons 21 and 22. The addition problem, review lesson 13. The short division problem, review lesson 68. And the multiplication problem, review lesson 59. For solve the problem, review lesson 87. For fill in the tables, review lessons 85 and 86. And for find the perimeter, review lessons 85 and 86 as well. Okay, that's it for this week, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye-bye.